Every time I go to Beersheba and visit the camel market, they rip me off. Every time. 50 shekels of silver for a bent-up old camel, and half its teeth are gone.
Gaspara, you're always too concerned about money, including the price of camels.
He just ripped me off, I tell you. He knew I wasn't from Beersheba, so he decided he was going to take a few more shekels for me. About 25 more than he should.
Why do you always worry about people cheating?
Because it's not right. It's not right to cheat. I just didn't want to buy this flea-bitten animal.
Yeah, Gaspara, your basic problem is that you're cheap.
Gaspar, come on now. Quit arguing about these things. How can you talk about camels when we have witnessed an event that has changed our lives?
Well, that's true, Balthazar. It's foolish for us to argue about money and camels after what's happened to us in the past few days. And who would have expected that he was going to be born in a barn? As we followed that star, I thought there would be a mansion or a castle or a palace. I never expected him to be surrounded by sheep and goats, cows and horses in a barn.
I could have accepted the barn, but his parents, the mother and father, I mean, the star we followed was a royal star, and I expected royalty. We came to the barn, and there was a servant girl and a carpenter. Just 4 ordinary folk. No jewels, no riches, no nothing. Just common, ordinary peasants.
What almost fooled me was Herod, this so-called king. Did he take us in? When he asked us to come back and to tell him where the child was born so he could worship him, I almost fell for that. If God hadn't given me the dream to warn us about Herod and go back this long way, we would have delivered the child to him.
That would have been terrible, and I'm certain he would have killed us too, if he could have.
That Herod was insanely cruel. I suspect that he may arrange for all the babies in the land of Israel to be killed, that he may slaughter thousands of innocents in order to kill that one. Now, where are we?
You know, we're standing at the crossroads here. I think we're all aware of it. This is a place we are going to go in different ways, to our homelands.
And where are you going, Gaspar?
I imagine I will head back to Persia, to the king of Persia. You remember, I'm the court astrologer and physician there. It's a very lucrative job with prestige and power. But after this trip, you seem a bit empty. And you, Markquart, you're a learned man. Where are you going?
I'm going back home, back to Egypt, back to Alexandria, to the library where I teach. As you realize, it's the finest institution of learning in the whole world. People from all the ends of the earth come to study the science of stars. I'll go back and teach just as my father and grandfather did before me. And Balthazar, how about you? Where will you be going?
Well, back that way, back in Asia, to my homeland, where I will continue to be a traveler, philosopher, and teacher. Except now, as I wander through the villages, I will teach something different than before. I'm going to teach what I've learned from following the star, what I've learned from discovering the Christ Chapel, the one who is going to change the whole course of human history.
Yes, likewise with me. I can hardly wait to get back to the library in Alexandria. I'm going to write about the star, Saturn, which is the guardian star of Israel. Jupiter is the largest star in the sky, symbolic of the birth of kings. And if you bring those two stars together into perfect conjunction with each other, it must mean that a magnificent king was born in the land of Israel. That must be the conclusion. I will write this knowledge in the manuscript so scholars of the world will understand the true meaning of this unusual conjunction of Saturn and Jupiter.
How lucky we were that the sign was a star and not a comet.
Yes, of course.
A comet would have meant an evil omen. All of my studies have told me that a comet foretells something terrible will happen. The death of a king, or a great famine, or a war that kills thousands of people. But instead of a comet, we saw a star.
A large star. The largest star in the sky.
A sign of goodness. I understand Jupiter and Saturn. I understand a king being born in Israel, and I understand about the star, goodness of the star. And I too am glad it was not a comet, Balthazar. But one thing that baffles me is that it happened in the constellation Pisces. I mean, there's never been anything great that has happened in the constellation Pisces. I don't understand it. The sign of a fish? This great king was born with the sign of a fish? It seems peculiar.
The sign of a fish. I too don't understand that. Who knows? Perhaps someday his followers will take the sign of a fish, the sign of Pisces, to identify themselves with one another. Who knows? It all seems so strange.
Perhaps one day God will give me another dream and explain the meaning of Pisces and why the great king was born under that sign of a fish. But let's talk about what we do know, of what we have learned. What have you learned from the adventures we have shared together?
Yes, Gaspara, you as the youngest, just 20 years old, a court philosopher and scientist, what has this journey meant to you?
Well, as you both know, I'm quite a materialist, and I can argue the price of camels with anybody. I own a great palace in Persia. I have an abundance of money, which I inherited from my parents who died when I was very young. I was brought up in good schools. I have a job that's lucrative, that gives power and prestige. But somehow, this journey has taught me that the truth about success and money, they're rather empty. In spite of what the world thinks, they don't bring happiness. We each gave gifts to this Christ child. You, Markquart, you gave gold to the new king, gold, the sign of rulers. And you, Balthazar, you gave myrrh, the sign and ointment of those who died but who live forever.
As God told me to do in a dream.
And I gave frankincense. If you can tell how much of a materialist I am, I kept a piece of it for myself. Here, smell it. It has a beautiful scent. Incense shows that the Christ child is going to be a spiritual leader, for frankincense belongs to priests. It's a sign of priests. But in spite of all these gifts and their symbolism, I feel that the baby in the manger was the greatest gift, far greater than the gifts we offer.
Gaspara, it sounds to me as if you have found a new jewel, more precious than the gold and perfumes we brought.
Indeed, the gold, the jewels, the perfumes, you desire some of these in this world, but they are no comparison to the Christ child given to us by God.
You sound like a woman who is no longer 20, but now is older and wiser.
Markquart, what have you learned?
Well, in the past, when people came to the university in Alexandria, I would teach them about the stars, that the stars guided not only the ships on the Mediterranean Sea, but the lives of individuals. But now I've found a new star. These stars guided nations and armies and the lives of individuals, but this new star is no longer in the heavens, it's here on earth. The star that is the baby born to be king, Jesus of Nazareth. In the future, he will become a great teacher and a person of deep knowledge about God. His love, his compassion, his teaching will be my new guide. His way of knowing God will become my star. And so when people come to the university looking for ways to guide their lives, I will no longer tell them about the heavens, but about this one man, Jesus of Nazareth, who is heaven on earth. That's what I've learned.
You have changed stars as I have changed jewels.
That's correct. And Balthazar, you who are 60 years old, the wisest of us, the oldest of us, a man of great and profound wisdom, what have you learned from this unusual event?
I think I have learned to look for truth in a new place. As I grew up, I read the ancient manuscripts. I talked to the wise men. I listened to the heavens. I studied the stars. I thought the truth came from study. And then in this dream, God asked me to do something instead of studying. He asked me to go off on this long, dangerous journey. And the journey has changed me. During this journey, I have come to know that the three of us are very much alike. We are cut from the same cloth. All of us have pursued the truth our entire lives. It's like we have been willing to give up everything to find out the meaning of life, the why of life. And I think God has taught me through this journey that I can only find that meaning by taking a great risk. By being willing to give up my old life and do something. God himself took a journey to earth and did the truth. And so also, I took this journey and am learning to do the truth. In the baby, God was doing the truth, not merely searching for the truth.
Balthazar, I'm surprised to hear you now say that one discovers the truth of life by doing. I would expect you to say that a person discovers the truth by studying or meditating or thinking. But you said that one discovers the truth by doing the truth. I'm not sure if I really understand what you're saying, Balthazar.
Well, I was thinking the other day, a thief does not become a thief only by thinking about stealing. A thief becomes a thief by stealing once, then a second time, and a third time, and so on, until it becomes a way of living. And a thief then, by his very character, has become a thief. So likewise, a kind man becomes a kind man by an outgoing repeat act and another act until he has become a person who lives a full and good life. Truth comes by doing, Melchior. I've learned by the risk and the walking of this journey.
We have all seen the truth of God in the Christ child.
That's what draws us together. I think all of us are people of the truth, and we are found when truth is in Christ. The knowledge of Christ is the answer. That is what we have been looking for. The key to all knowledge, to all truth.
Balthazar, I am going to miss your wisdom. You've taught both of us so much. We're going to miss your wisdom, but the hour is getting late, and the day is almost over. We must be on our separate ways.
Balthazar, it's time for us to go. Gaspar, I will miss you. Peace be with you.
Peace and prosperity, Balthazar.
Melchior, may your journey be a safe one.
And may the peace of God go with you, my friend.
And with you, Melchior.
Peace and prosperity, Melchior.
Farewell.
Farewell.
May the truth of the new king be in us.